Everyone, and welcome to Leaders Plus Institute, Basics of Leadership, BOL Cohort 1. And this is Module 1. It is titled Understanding Leadership. And in this lesson 3, we want to treat a very important topic again, which is the last of this module. We call it Leadership Levels and Qualities of Great Leaders. I promise you, you're going to have a very serious understanding of your level. And this is so practical because you're going to know exactly the level you're operating from, and to also tell which of the leadership quality you score high and which one you score low, which you need to develop. And this is very important to me. And I want you to apply yourself to this lesson as we go into the introduction. By the way of introduction, I want to say that leadership is not static. It is progressive. So understanding leadership level helps you to assess where you currently are and inspire you to grow. And likewise, knowing the core qualities of great leaders give you a target for personal development. To me, the most important word in leadership is the word personal development. This lesson explores both the levels of leadership and the qualities of great leaders. Leadership levels and qualities of great leaders. As we delve into this, I want to remind you that it takes 75% attendance of this class for you to graduate. And at the end of the whole course, you're required to do a community service where you live, an obvious service to your community that will be recorded and sent to us as part of your assessment for the certification of this course. Why do you need to study the levels of leadership? You need to do that so that you can know your level, and that helps you evaluate your current impact. When you know where you are, you will know where you are to be, where you want to be. And so it begins from knowing where you are. And that's why we want to study the levels. And then different levels bring different types of influence and responsibilities. The level you are also determine the kind, the types, and the approaches, the styles that we discussed in the last lesson that you need to apply. And number 3, growth in leadership is intentional, not accidental. To be intentional about your growth is the theft of leadership. Every great leaders are intentional about their daily growth. They know that leadership is a process. And the law of process says that leadership grows daily, not in a day. And it's not accidental. You don't stumble into becoming a leader. You're born a leader, but you don't become a leader by default. You've got to be intentional. And knowing the level helps you to take yourself from one level to the other, the level you are right now, to the next level that you want to be, that you should be. And then you also need to know why it matters, because knowing the levels of leadership help you to develop from one level to the next, and it makes you effective and trusted. You know, when you're growing, we can trust you. We can give even a second chance to someone who is learning from his mistakes. We can give a second chance only to those who are growing, who are not repeating the same thing. Growth is the fulcrum of leadership. So if you're committed to self-development, growing from one level to the other, you know what that does? It engenders trust in those who are watching you, those who are following you, and those who look up to you. So let's look at the 5 levels of leadership that Dr. Maxwell proposed and postulated in his book, Within You. I decided to carve that out into this course because the position, come on, say something, because the 5 levels of leadership are directly, the 5 levels of leadership that he postulated, I just couldn't see anything better that describes the various levels of leadership. It's okay. The first level is position. And in this level of position, which he calls the least level of leadership, people follow you because they have to. Understand that they have to. They can't help but. It's not that they can't help but because they're passionate for you. They can't help it. They must. Your position demands that they comply. And that is the lowest form of leadership. Your job title, the role that you have as a father, as a CEO, COO, HR, and whatever you are in the cadre, in the hierarchy of leadership of your organization, in the structure of leadership, your management role demands that they obey you, do what you say because of your office, not because of your person. In that case, influence is minimal. Result could be obtained, but influence is minimal. There might be obedience, but there might not be submission. And people might do the right thing, but not because they want to, right? You can tell the difference. And so you just have to go to do the normal daily task because you have to do it, not because you want to do it. That is positional level. How many of you are operating? Now ask yourself the position you occupy right now, if you are no more occupying that position, will anyone who obeyed you yesterday still obey you if you're not occupying that position because they respect you? If you can't answer yes to that, you are only a positional leader. And while that is not wrong to be a positional leader, that's the lowest rung of the ladder of leadership. The next level is permission. In this case, it's higher than position. It's no longer because of the position you occupy now. It is because of the relationship and the trust that you build with people. So people want to follow you. People follow you because they want to, not because they have to. That is permission. They give you the permission to lead them because you have built trust, you have built influence, you have built relationship with them. And that is a higher level. That is influence level, where you influence people so that even if you are not in that position today, they don't only just miss you. You know that some people that leave a position and people under them begin to rejoice. So all this while they have been obeying but have never been submissive because the only thing he has over them is that position. But you imagine somebody with a position who uses that position to build trust and relationship with his co-workers, with his with people under him. When he leaves, they're going to miss him. And wherever he goes tomorrow, there is that relationship, there is that trust, there is that mutual trust. Everyone wants to work with such a person because of the permission they give him to rule over them. The next is production. Now, this is a higher level of leadership. You can see that if everybody on the organogram of an organization, maybe there are 3 persons on the same level on the organogram of the organization, the one that produces more result will command more influence with the organization and with the people of the organization. So the production means the ability for you to command result and performance, all right? So people want to follow people whose result is visible, whose result is significant. That is why you see people always gravitating towards a successful person. This is not just because of what a successful person could do for them, but because if he could be this successful in doing what he's doing so well, and then he deserves some flowers to be given to him. And because of that, you bring yourself under his influence. I always give the example of celebrities. It's a lot of fun, millions of fun that great celebrities command. It's not because they even expect a dime from from the much money that celebrity is earning, but because he performed well and produced result in that area. You see, they are going to just want him to influence them. If he tells them, all right, do this, they will do it. Wear dress like this, they will wear it that way. Why? Because of his result. So when people follow you because of your result, maybe because of what you've done, your performance, you are at level 3, production level. Credibility is gained through visible success. And the next one, which I call the last level, as it depends on you. Then, yes, there's another level after this. But that one doesn't depend on you, it depends on the people. And what you can do highest, and that's the peak of leadership. Isn't that interesting? The peak of leadership is not sitting in one big office in the Aso Rock or in the White House, rolling on rocking chair and issuing out command. The peak of leadership is what you can begin to do right now, and it is people development. People follow you because of what you do for them. You invested in them, you help them grow. You spend your money, you spend your time, you spend your effort to contribute to people's development. That is, you are multiplying leaders. We call this stage also the stage of reproduction. You make yourself many. You instill passion and development and growth in others so much that people can do without you. Great leaders don't want to be needed, they want to be succeeded. Great leaders don't want to be missed, they want to become irrelevant. Not irrelevant in the sense of what they cannot do, but in the sense that they are not necessarily needed for the work to be done. And so they can go doing something else, something higher, something bigger. And so in people development, you have developed enough people invested in them and help them grow. Now, I want you to begin that journey because before you reach the pinnacle level, which is level 5, which is also called the level of legacy, you must have become a pro in people development. Now, I repeat, that's the peak of leadership as long as it concerns you, as much as it has to do with what you can do is people development. Remember, leadership is people business. While manager deals with profits and systems, leaders deal with people. I've explained that a lot. That manager use people to get tasks done, but leader uses tasks to develop people. You should know the difference. I'm not talking about what is right or wrong there. I'm talking about the differences, and knowing that difference is very important in how you do with people. And the key to becoming a leader is in your hands. Since leadership is service, is influence, is making a difference, this is what you can do. So if you begin to serve right now, you begin to influence people for positive change, and you begin to impact people's life to grow and develop. Your journey of leadership has begun. Now you give yourself time to do that over the time, and you will reach the pinnacle where you will be known for one particular thing that you stand for, that you have preached over the time. Now, I want to be known as someone who helped a lot of people. I want to be known as someone who developed people to achieve their dreams. I want to be known. Somebody said that, what's your dream? I say, my dream is when you achieve your dream. And say, what's the meaning of that? Yes, the meaning of that is people development is my dream. When you have done that, you're going to be placed on the pinnacle of the ladder to become the man of legacy. People follow you at this number 5, which I call pinnacle, which Dr. Maxwell called pinnacle. People follow you because of what? Who you are and what you represent. That is the legacy level. It is reserved for leaders who live out on their values at the highest level. Some even pay the supreme price for it. Some suffer and went to prison for it. Some stand for the truth and get insulted, get ridiculed for it, but they insisted on it and delivered the dream. There are people like Nelson Mandela, 27 years in prison in Robben Island with hard labor. And coming out from that, refusing to budge, didn't change his commitment to the freedom of the people and equal South Africa. And then he come up to become the first Black president of the United States and restore majority rule with the use of democratic tool and education in South Africa. Today, Nelson Mandela goes down to history as one of the greatest leaders that's ever lived. He is at the pinnacle of truth, reconciliation, forgiveness. You know him for that. You can call them and then you can mention one word. Mahatma Gandhi, freedom. Yes to home rule. Martin Luther King Jr. I have a dream of a life and a country without racial segregation. And we can call Mother Teresa, there's even a name for her, Lady of Mercy. So pinnacle is what people describe you. It's not about what you describe yourself now, it's what people know you to be. Every leader should aspire to leave a legacy behind, a legacy of a life. right? And that's why somebody says, I think it was Maya Angelou, I heard her in one of her speeches, Maya, I think it's Maya, yeah, either Maya or Oprah, one of the two. He said, the life you're living right now is the legacy you leave. The life you live is the legacy you leave. That's very important. So it's important that leaders are conscious about the legacy they're leaving behind, about the examples they're leaving behind, about references that people are going to make about them. So how do you move up this leadership ladder? How do you move up the leadership ladder? You can't jump levels, you must grow through them. And each level requires specific attitudes and behaviors. And for you to move to the next level, you must imbibe the attitudes and the behaviors of the next level. For example, you want to move from positional level to influence level. You know what you're going to do? You're going to begin to build trust. You're going to get out of your big office and get down to shake hands with people down the hallway. You're going to greet people and smile. You're going to consciously be interested in the people beyond their job description. When people know that you're interested, even in their family affair, in how they live, and you're genuinely interested in people, you're already building trust and relationship. Communication and great communication between people builds trust. When you also learn empathy, you learn to listen. We're going to do much of emotional intelligence at the advanced level. And I will encourage you to sign up for that. As soon as we are done with this, you will be told what to do. Emotional intelligence helps you to put yourself in someone's shoes and see from somebody else's perspective. Now, that is required in building trust. You got to know individual and know that individuals are different. How are you building self-esteem around people? Are people around you feeling great, or they feel less than themselves because they're around you? So all that you do in building trust and relationship are very important in moving from one level to the other. At the level of production, what significant thing can you do to make a difference for the organization you work for that will give you large influence when you succeed at that? And of course, in people development, you're going to get out of your way and get something new done and begin to develop people to become leaders. So each of the level have various requirements. Remember also that the levels we're talking about takes time in growth. Growth doesn't happen over the night. It happens over time. Growth doesn't happen overnight. Growth happens over time. I repeat, in the law of process of Maxwell, he says that leadership do not grow in a day. It grows daily. So leadership growth requires time, discipline, and reflection. So you give yourself time to grow. And in the course of the time you give yourself to grow, you measure your progress by the books you read, the tapes you listen to, the relationship you keep, and how you are actually becoming a better person by knowing what you want to change about you, what you want to strengthen, how you want to move on in your attitudes and in your behavior. And now when we talk about discipline, it is about doing what you know it is right to do, even when you don't want to do it. All right. So it's not every time you wake up that you want to go to work, but you do. Discipline teaches you that if you don't go to work, it's not going to be good for you. So your body that is telling you to rest that day, you just know that he's not going to have the last say. The last say is your will. And so that's how it is with reading, with taking classes, with sitting through classes, with learning, with journaling, and many, many other tools. But, we are dealing with the heart and the foundation of leadership. But the discipline is very important, and the reflection. And when I talk about reflection, I'm talking about how am I going to apply these things that I'm learning today and every day to make a difference in my life and in the life of others in the organization that I lead. We move on to qualities of great leaders. And before then, I hope you've gotten some values and you can tell about the level of leadership you are on right now. Can you tell the ladder you are on? You should take time, pause, and reflect. What ladder of leadership am I operating from? Am I operating from positional level, permission level, production level, people development level, or am I already at the pinnacle? I don't think any one of us here is at the pinnacle yet. We are all working towards that. But have you reached people development level? Do you have a plan for people, not only profit? Are your profit for people or people for profit? Leaders make profit for people. People is the business of leadership, adding value to others is the business of leadership. Let's talk about qualities of great leader. If there is anything that social study in primary school and secondary school have taught me, and taught most of us, is qualities of great leaders, qualities of great leaders, and then talk about teachability, talk about must be courageous, must be that, we learn that. I wished it is very, very much, enforced, as in implanted in the heart of growing children, to see those qualities as something to keep working on, so that we can have mindset of leadership from childhood. And then the most important thing about teaching leadership to children is modeling it rather than just giving instruction. So how do you model leadership? In fact, the greatest leaders are not necessarily the most rhetorical. They are not necessarily the greatest orators. No, but they are models of what they teach. And so you need to understand these qualities of great leaders so that you can begin. And I want you to do something about that when you go home today. At the end of these qualities of great leader, begin to score yourself on each of these points to know where you are. Rate it from 1 to 10 and tell yourself that, how am I in this quality? How am I in this other quality? At the end, you will know which one you need to develop and which one you need to stop. Number one is integrity. And integrity is a discipline. It means doing what is right when it's hard, and it is foundational for trust and credibility. Take, for instance, you can't continue to break your promises and expect people to trust you. No. If you want someone to trust you, then let your yes be yes and your no be no. Integrity sells. Is it today? It's look like telling the truth. No, so you got to manipulate your way through and get rich quick and get successful fast. The most people that are successful are people of integrity, because people would like to do business with them. You know, even as you deal with people in business, you don't want to deal with somebody that will not deliver on time, that will keep telling you stories. But if you meet somebody who will tell you the truth, even if it will take a whole year for him to deliver it, or 3 months, or a longer time, you wouldn't mind giving it to him, because, you know, as he says, so he will do. So integrity itself is even capital for business. But many people don't know that. They think that integrity limits you, because sometimes, because you tell the truth, you're going to lose some things too. You should know that. Because you tell the truth, you are going to lose some things. But ultimately, you will win, because integrity paves way for you. It makes people to know you for what you are. And it's doing what is right, even when it's hard. It's a foundation for trust and credibility. And the next is vision. Now, if you look at the logo of Leaders Plus Institute, you see a nurturing eagle. Eagle is an example of leadership as much as lion is. But the prominent feature of eagle that shows leadership is the vision of the eagle. It is said that an eagle sees 25 times clearer and farther than you can see. All right? With the speed and agility that it uses and precision to catch its prey, with the vision that he has to get the job done and make the kill, an eagle is a great example of a great leader. It pictures and mirrors leadership. Here, a vision is the ability to see a better future and lead the people there. The ability to see a better future and lead the people there, and inspire direction and purpose. I repeat, the ability to see a better future and lead people there. Do you know why this is very important? There is no how we can move into the future if someone don't see it. Before anything happens, before anything progresses, before anything improves, before anything moves forward, there must be a leader with a vision. But you should also know that being a vision is also risky. It also it has consequences. And let me use the word consequences, or let me use the word price. You have a price to pay for the vision, because when you see a new world that others don't see, they are going to think that you're crazy. When you're talking of creating a new world, some people are going to laugh at you because they see nothing wrong with the old. And then you're talking of a new world. You're talking of something that is sometimes out. Imagine Elon Musk saying that he wants to take man to the Mars so that we can have an alternative place to live in case the earth will not be able to sustain us. It's crazy. But that's exactly how crazy it was when man said he wants to go to the moon. And when the Russians in 1957 went with an expedition to the space, when Yuri Gagarin went to the space as the first man in space, it was the wonder of the whole world. In 1965, the United States, to beat up in the Cold War, also sent a man to the moon. And we have Neil Armstrong's story and the Apollo 11. It's just that it's amazing how between that time and now, we've not so much made a lot of landslide success in going to the moon or outer space with human being, when the technology that it took to go to the moon that time is nowhere compared to even the phone that you are using, the Android phone you are using right now to watch this. And so what I'm trying to say is that the ability to see a better future is what makes the world to move forward to where we are today, that I can be in the comfort of my room, in a studio, and I can broadcast this lesson to as many thousands of people that could have access to it. So vision is very important. It's the ability to see a better future and lead the people there. A visionary is not satisfied with the present, so he creates an alternative to the present. He sees it, inspires direction and purpose, and move a team of people to see it, buy into it, and deliver it. Number 3, courage. A courageous person is the one that would dare to step into the unknown. And of course, until you dare to step into your unknown, that's why we tell people dare to dream. It takes courage to really dream about things that you know that you do not possess the ability to get it done, but you know that dreaming it is the first thing to do if it must be done. So it takes courage to dream. So many persons don't want to dream because they feel like dreaming is daydreaming. There's a difference between vision and daydreaming. When you see the alternative of a better future, a better world, a better nation, a better culture, a better people, a better life, not just about your personal success. Now I'm talking about success beyond personal. You need the courage to face the risk, to confront the fear, and to undermine the opposition and face it with strength. Leadership often requires you to take bold decisions. Right? Now it begins from what to do daily. The courage to face the daily task and to do what you don't used to do before. It may be that, okay, you're not the type that want to even greet people and check in with them, especially new people. It takes courage. As you are developing your courage to get out of the box that you fix for yourself, you are actually developing the courage for greater tasks too. So what little thing can you do right now that shows courage? Can you begin to write them down and begin to take steps on them to confront your fears? It's a risk to step into the unknown. It's a risk to dream, and it's a risk to communicate a great vision. And because some people are going to laugh at it, some are going to ridicule it, some are going to reject it, and then some are going to buy into it. And those that buy into it are those that you need. So your fear is there. Everybody has fear, but fear is not, courage is not absence of fear, it is said. But what? Acting in spite of your fear. Don't allow your fear to cripple you. Don't allow your fear to hurt you. Insist that your fear become a motivation, in fact, to getting it done. Opposition will come if you have a vision, but it takes courage to conquer opposition and still go ahead and refuse to listen to all the naysayers who tell you it can't be done. You're a woman. It's not this side of the world. It's not this place. In fact, who are you? Who do you think you are? Get off. Forget about your dream. That dream is not necessary. After all, didn't the Bible says if you have what to eat and drink, you should be okay? They can even quote scripture for you to make you forget your dream. You aren't going to allow that. Take the steps towards your dream and find people who believe your dream along with you to encourage you and move towards achieving your purpose. Then we have empathy. I've said something about empathy a little. It is an emotional intelligence quality is one of the mark of emotional intelligence, to put yourself in the shoe of someone, to see from other people's perspective, to see how people think and why they do what they do, the way they do them. It's very important to do that, because given the background that person has and all the knowledge the person has and all the influences the person has, maybe you too would have been thinking that way. I'm talking about somebody that's in the opposite side of what you think, that sees everything opposite what you see it. Now the question is, why do they think like that? That's emotional intelligence. That's what we call empathy. You know, it builds trust so that you can be comfortable with people who disagree with you, and even people who don't want to see you and don't like your opinion. You now begin to pity their own ignorance of emotional intelligence instead of getting upset. You know what this does for you? It gives you rest. And it gives you confidence and power. You can face up to anyone and listen more than you talk, so that you can see from your perspective. This is a great quality of great leaders. Then we talk about humility. What is humility? Humility is acknowledging that leadership is about service. It recognizes the contribution of others. In this humility, I want to bring in something that Jim Collins said. Jim Collins is one of the greatest teachers and consultant on corporate management, corporate leadership. He wrote some great books like Good to Great. I'm sure you may have heard of Good to Great, Built to Last, Why the Mighty Fall, Great by Choice. He studies great companies and come to give you why great companies are great, what they do differently that separates them from other companies that maybe started at the same time or even before them. What do they do that causes them to succeed? And he was the one that says that one of the reasons they succeed is the kind of leadership that operates. And it's not about competence, intelligence. It's not about the great university graduates from the Ivy League schools like Princeton or Yale or Harvard. It's not about that. It's not about that. It's about the method of leadership in operation in those companies. And one of that, and that's the kind of leader he called level 5 leaders. And he said these leaders, there's something about them. They have serious humility, but they have professional will. They are very humble to the core, yet they are so decisive about what they want done. And it says that when the organization succeeds, they look through the window to give credit to the team. But when the plan and the job they are doing fail, because there is no great leader who has not failed. You should know that. So failure, it's not anything to prove to you that you can't be a leader. There is no great leader that has not failed in one way or the other. They see failure as a tool to learn. And so humility, they have great humility. They give credit, they look through the window to give credit to the team, but take the mirror to look at it when something goes wrong. And by that, they keep improving themselves. Most of the time, they may not be the one that directly caused the loss or directly caused the problem, but there's something they always tell themselves that if I did all that I'm supposed to do, and maybe if I did better, maybe things would have gone the other way around. So they always do that. And they also show everybody where they are wrong so that they can improve, not so that they can blame. And that's something wonderful. He calls it conducting autopsies without blame. And then everybody now is motivated again to get it done. That's humility. And then the cord that tied them together is discipline. Discipline is the quality of all leaders. There is no leader that is not consistent at what he does. If you are going to be a great leader, you've got to be consistent with studies. You've got to be consistent with listening. You've got to be consistent with practices. You've got to be consistent with networking, with meeting new people, with doing new things, with training, with teamwork, and with organization. And that helps you to maintain excellence over time. Now, there are some examples here. I'll give you some examples here, and then we will see the kind of model, the kind of quality that they exhibit and the level they are. Are examples like that. My first example is always Jesus of Nazareth, because there's nobody that have taught me leadership like Jesus. When you read the Bible, you see that Jesus was so concerned about leadership. He modeled it, he lived it, he came picking leadership. He didn't just come and start working. He came and started working on the leaders who now did the work. And so no one can exemplify leadership like him. In fact, his method of leadership, servant leadership, which he created, was a countercultural method. In fact, he said it himself. When people come and we're looking for position of authority in the kingdom that he brings, he said, no, that's not how it works. I didn't come to give you positions of influences. No, I come to get you serving people. So you can rather forget about leadership if what you're looking for is siren and accolades and big offices and rolling in AC. And that's your picture of leadership and not people. And that's the problem of all the nations that are behind. We don't think of people. We think so much of what we can get, of the enjoyment we can have as leaders, of the honor and the prestige. Why? Low self-esteem, poor self-image. We think that it takes people to praise us, to clap for us, to celebrate us before we feel that we are good people, or that we are successful people, or that we are okay. Jesus wasn't like that. In fact, the people of his time, they didn't really relate with him, including the closest disciple, Peter. Peter said, you're not going to do that. Don't wash my feet, because that's the work of the slave. And he said, no, that's the model I'm modeling before you. You go feed my sheep. You go serve people. For the greatest of you shall be the servant of all. So what's the model? The model is servant leadership. And then what are his qualities? Servanthood, love. You see that Jesus is at the pinnacle of leadership, because when you say Jesus, you say Savior. That's what he came for, and that's what he's known for. He did it all. We have Moses too, who developed people. Moses' leadership structure was such amazing that when he left, the success of the people, taking them into the Canaan, was so inevitable. He picked Joshua, picked the 12 of the tribe, picked other 72 people, and put the Spirit upon them. And then he in fact, at a point, he said that I wish that everybody here be leaders. I wish that everybody here have the Spirit of God and prophesy. And so Moses understand leadership. Moses didn't say that if they all become leader, who is going to follow? Because he understood leadership, understood that leadership is service. And if you're going to serve, there are always people to receive your service. There are people that have needs. So leadership is people development. And that's Moses. He had vision of a new land. And then he was such a patient person that he went through hell in the hand of those he was leading, and he still maintained decorum until finally, even though he busted, and he suffered the consequence of not reaching the Canaan. We can give it to Moses that he was a very patient person. In fact, many of us will not even pass up to half of what Moses went through before we blow it. Moses was a patient person. We have Nehemiah. The leadership level of Nehemiah is production, isn't it? He was able to deliver the result in the desolate land by building the walls of the city, the gates of the city of Jerusalem. And then he was a person of integrity. He was a person of strategy. When opposition came at him, he didn't stop the work. He divided the people into two. Some are guiding the security post, and some are still working. At a point, people were both working with one hand and keeping a weapon on the other hand to defend themselves. So he was a person of strategy. In the book of Nehemiah, you're going to see the lot of leadership, whole lot of leadership principle. And then Paul is at the pinnacle of missions, crisscrossing the entire known world. Scholar says that for about 65 years of active service, he could come to write, when he was writing to the Romans, that now that there is no more place for me to go to, now I think I need to come to you, even though my own mission is to go to places where the gospel have not been heard. Let me come to you now. There's no more place to go anymore. That is a very serious statement of success. Why he still live? All the known world, he have taken the gospel to where it is not heard. That's the pinnacle of success. And then he was so wise in his dealings, and then he is conscious about passing it on when he was writing all the letters that we have to today. Okay, then we have boldness as also part of the quality of leadership. Courage. of the Apostle Paul. So courageous that he couldn't wait to witness before the great Emperor Nero, who was the number one enemy of those who believe in his faith. So in the contemporary time, we have Nelson Mandela is at the pinnacle of forgiveness, humility. Mother Teresa is at the pinnacle of permission, where he, through affiliation, he stood between the rich and the powerful and the poorest of the poor. You can see Mother Teresa speaking to the Congress of the United States, speaking in the Congress, meaning the UK Parliament and government houses, and then going down to the street to help the poor. Standing between that, the people see him as someone who cares for the needy, and they give him everything, every support they could. He had great influence, even among those who don't believe in the religion that he practices, right? So he had compassion and simplicity, and that is it. All right, so by this, we have come to the end of this third class and this module. Remember, we're going to send you a quiz test, and make sure you take the test and submit it right on time. And we will continue in next week with the second module of this course. God bless you until I come your way. Ensure that you continue leading, and make sure that you find what to do with what you're learning before we meet again. God bless you. Amen.